agenda that looked like they needed to be discussed. So one was a COVID-19 update. Looks like maybe asking about walking or biking being permitted on campus. At this time, walking, biking, otherwise using the campus is not allowed, not permitted, based on a CSU-wide update, basically limiting activity on the campuses. So it's open for staff, students, faculty that need to be here for classes and labs and things like that. But it's not open to essentially the general public to just use. There's another item talking about horses that were up in the Glen Park that I was familiar with. So our department's actively reached out to campus administration to inquire about the possibility of adopting regulations to disallow horses on CSU property, including University Glen. That's something that's still being inquired at this time, and we don't really have any specifics. But as of right now, we can't criminally enforce anything. But we did have an officer assigned to reach out with the ranches locally that have a lot of the horses that visit our campus, trying to seek voluntary compliance about being in University Glen, including safety with the kids and just people walking around, and then also damage to property and just the mess that they generally leave behind. I'm sure most of you know we had a group of about 6 horses sprinting through University Glen Park one night for about an hour or two. So that's something that we are looking into. Just a few little police activity related things that sort of affect the community. We did have just one theft from motor vehicle during the night of August 24th in the 900 block of Channel Islands Drive. It looked like it was probably an unlocked car, so just as a reminder, try to keep your doors locked and don't leave your valuables visible, and usually try to keep them inside if at all possible. And then it looks like on August 26th, an officer noticed several trash cans have been vandalized with the moniker SAMO, S-A-M-O, written in white and yellow on numerous trash cans around Kyler, Fries, and Platt.
I'm sorry, what was written?
The moniker's name is SAMO. It's S-A-M-O. And they wrote it in both white and yellow lettering, and it was on numerous trash cans throughout Kyler, Fries, and Platt.
So, Curtis, is there a state law to enforce that?
That would be a violation of 594 of the Penal Code.
No.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Suspicious activity on Sept between about 6:30 and male. An unknown large black SUV had been driving fast around the 300 block of Fries Harbor. And when they were looking out of their window to see the person, that they saw the person stop and take a picture of their residence and then left the area. There wasn't a crime committed, and we have no other reports of any other similar situations reported to us, but it's just something if the community wanted to be aware.
I have a few questions from the attendees. One is the vandalism being investigated?
It is.
And the other is, can you please define the campus boundaries as far as for not using the campus for COVID?
I think basically the main campus, I would say, basically below the town center would probably be a general area. The town center would still be sort of considered the community. Obviously, there's restaurants and things like that there. But once you start coming onto the main campus along Camarillo Street, and then heading towards, the campus core and student housing.
Jake's main email when he announced that there was a map attached.
I'm sorry?
There was a map attached when Jake sent the email to the community regarding the closure of the campus. There was a map attached.
Jake, did you get that from the campus?
What happened was that we had talked with what's her name, Lori Nichols, okay, and Rosa, and we had agreed that the perimeter, basically along Rincon over to whatever the road is towards the main entrance, down, it's kind of the perimeter of the loop, basically the loop.
So Rincon, the road that comes down to Camarillo Street to leave the campus?
Correct. And then it's like when you're getting ready to leave the campus, you take a left there on what that road is, you know, that
Santa-
goes to the
Santa
main
Barbara.
camp. Right. And then it goes all the way over to where the footbridge is, you know, where they come from the parking lot. And then it goes all the way over to Potrero, and then up the south side of the campus, then up University Drive to Malibu Hall, and then up Rincon. So
So
it
maybe you
doesn't.
can reshare that map.
We could share it. Yes, we can. We can resend that. We can include that in an e-blast. It's basically a red line around that area, and then it comes up to the road immediately to the west town center. So that includes the library. Library is pretty much off limits.
Curtis, I confess to putting the walking, biking on campus question. So just to clarify for everyone, it would still be okay to essentially ride your bicycle around the mountain, and just don't, when you come, you know, go around the water tower on our drive and go down to Camarillo Street, come back towards campus, and then just basically stay away from the buildings and come back up to our houses. I mean, can we go around the mountain and help people jog and so forth?
I mean, for the exact specifics, that map would probably be the best thing.
Okay.
You know, our goal really, I mean, with this whole thing is you know, voluntary compliance and just
Yeah.
educational approach mainly, and that's always the goal. So, I mean, I would look at that map and then just, you know, do your best to follow it. If for some reason something came up, then like I said, our main goal is just to do educational enforcement when at all possible.
So if I hear you, you would probably ask someone to leave the campus would be
The goal would be voluntary compliance first. Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. And also on the horses in the park, just for everybody's information, later on when we get to further down in the agenda, that kind of rolls into a topic I want to bring up about legal status and so forth. So we'll come back to that.
And it also rolls into the rules and regs.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot
exactly.
of work that
So
Lieutenant Massey has
any
done.
other questions for Curtis? We thank you again. And
Oh, I'm sorry, just one second.
Oh.
Lori McDonald would like to know, is it possible to do better traffic control on Camarillo Street? There are so many speeders, and since we can't walk on campus, it's very dangerous. And I can,
General thing.
I will wait for a response from Lori. Lori, would you like to speak? I can unmute you. If I find you, I can allow you to speak. Yeah. Okay, you should be unmuted.
Okay. Yeah, it's actually all times of the day, but I can tell you starting in late afternoon into early evening, and now since it's getting darker earlier, it's yeah, it's just really concerning.
Okay. Yeah, I could definitely send out an email to our officers and follow up with that.
Thank you so much.
And then Paula wants to know if the restriction, I believe, for walking or biking applies to non-U Glen students who come into the area to park or walk. And I'm not sure if she's asking if, I'm not sure what she's asking, to be quite honest.
It's hard to answer that.
Yeah, I can't quite. Paula, would you like to speak? Are you there? Let me allow her to speak. Paula, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, would you like to ask that question? I don't.
Yeah, I was just wondering, I mean, we're being restricted from walking on the campus or biking, and does it go both ways? Can students come up to our area and still park here and walk down to campus to attend classes? I mean, that's what we'd like to know.
The signage that I've seen is specifically to the campus core, but I can tell you there's very few students that are actually on campus at this time. I think really at most there's maybe about 100 students on campus versus our usual probably 5,000. So I don't really anticipate that being too much of an issue. And even student housing, where we normally have about 15 to 1,600 students living in student housing. I think we have right around 200 right now total. So there hasn't been a lot of foot traffic that I've even noticed from the campus core. I've actually seen more foot traffic from University of Glen than anything else.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
I think we've seen some students park up here and then drive and walk down. So that's why that's why the question exists.
Okay. And I mean, if you think there's somebody that's there without the permit, I mean, you can call for a parking issue. However, with the COVID thing, it also makes it more difficult because parking restrictions are less so right now on University of Glen to park on the streets to help residents not have to stress as much about visitors coming over and in and out and more exposure as well. So.
Okay.
Thank
All
you.
right. I think we can, thank you again, Curtis. We'll let you go. And we'll move on to item number 4. And let me introduce Venice Terry. I got her name's reversed, and my apologies. She is a deputy to Supervisor Parks. I'll let her introduce herself. She has to share what is Measure O on the November ballot. I'll stop there because I'm doing her job. So, Venice.
Right, let me do my job. Yes, I am Supervisor Parks' assistant, and I will be your liaison for University Glen. So my name is Venice Terry. My email is my name. It's up there in my little square. It's venice.terry@ventura.org. So I can answer any questions regarding the county, any county services you might need. So because you are in an unincorporated area, you're in District 2, so you're in Supervisor's district. So technically you're on state land, which is the first thing we'll talk about is the general plan update. Chris Williamson did alert us that he wanted to include some language that improved communication between the county and the university regarding land use issues. So the general plan deals with land use issues. So on September 15th, the board approved and finalized the general plan update. So that's the general plan for all land use issues for the next 20 years. I think there was a PowerPoint that just shows the language that was included. Do you have that? If not, I can just read it out. Chris?
I think, Jake, I don't know if you can.
Or is it
Why don't you just read it, Venice?
I'll
It's
just
not
read
that
it out
long.
loud. No need for PowerPoints. Okay. It says, the county shall notify and consult with California State University Channel Islands Office of the President and CSUSI Site Authority prior to adopting any county-initiated land use regulation, policy, or plan that may impact the university or residents living within the jurisdiction of the CSUSI Site Authority. So since the Site Authority is what governs the University Glen area, they will be the kind of point of contact. They'll get information out to the HAC and residents. So that'll kind of be the protocol from now on. Any other county services that are not land use issues, I know Chris had a bunch that he had talked about. I'm happy to help with that. That'll be my job, you know, if you have any issues with any of our other agencies. Oh, there we go. I'm happy to be that person. So if you just want to go to the next slide, just as a really quick update. With COVID happening right now and heat, well, not so much now, but with heat and fire, and the potential for this power safety turning off of the electricity, the PSPSs, we really recommend and we really want residents to sign up for this VC alert. That way you can get notifications from the county if anything is happening. And I know you know this at University of Glen, you've had fires near you. Right now there is a potential to be emergency on top of emergency with fires and power shutoffs and COVID, and we can't evacuate the way we used to evacuate because we can't put large groups of people together. And I know that our Office of Emergency Services is working on a plan to help residents with that. So please sign up for these alerts. That way you can get information right away when anything happens. If you want to go to the next slide, just a really quick recommendations. As we are, heading into fire season, just a couple helpful recommendations for what you can do to keep you and your family safe. So just, having the gas filled up, cell phones, medications, emergency kits, food and water. So those are our recommendations. The last thing I wanted to touch on, and Chris, you were at the Agricultural Policy Advisory Committee meeting as well, is the Measure O. One thing I want to make clear, I've had some people confuse hemp and cannabis. So hemp is legally allowed to grow here in the county. We have an urgency ordinance in place right now, which gives a half-mile buffer to sensitive sites. And actually, it was the hemp ordinance that really spurred Chris to get in touch with us and create the language that we put into the general plan, because he wanted to make sure that, University Glen was recognized. So Measure O is a little different. It received the sufficient amount of signatures, so it went to the Board of Supervisors. They had three options. They could either adopt it in, because it had a significant situation, just adopt it into law. They could vote to put it on the ballot, or vote to study and put on the ballot. Well, they didn't have enough time to do the study and then put it on the ballot, so they opted to put it on the ballot. So we'll be on the ballot in November, but they still asked for an impact report. So from that impact report, the county very quickly put together some very high level understanding of what that impact could be in the county. There's 500 acres in this measure of cannabis cultivation indoors in pre-existing greenhouses. So there'll be no new construction with this. And then 100 acres of nursery cultivation. The county's identified about 220 acres of existing greenhouses that meet the requirements of the initiative. Now this initiative is it's much less restrictive than what we have for hemp. For hemp, we have a half-mile buffer from sensitive sites. This measure would only give 1,200 feet. So that's about a quarter mile. So it's less. I will say, and this is of interest to you, where the urgency ordinance for hemp, we got it to include universities and colleges. This initiative does not include universities and colleges. It includes K through 12 facilities. So when it says schools in the initiative, it says it means K through 12. It does also list daycares, youth centers, drug rehabilitation centers, parks and residential neighborhoods existing as of March 4th, 2020. So those are what they consider sensitive sites where there will be that 1,200 foot setback. So it is less restrictive. Just to give you a little comparison, there's a total of 347 acres of greenhouse cultivation available statewide, and 62 acres are in neighborhood Santa Barbara. So 62 acres versus 220 acres that are possible here. It's a lot. It's a lot. So the county's, looking at it. We'll see what the voters say. If you want to access that impact report, you can just email me, and I can either email it to you or send you the link. It's a really long link, so just give me an email. I'm happy to send you that impact report. It's a big document. So, a couple other things. They have the cannabis cultivation going in Santa Barbara. Santa Barbara's sheriff's office has said they've experienced that the legal cannabis cultivation has created more illegal cultivators than legal. They have since created a cannabis control unit comprised of 1 sergeant, 4 deputies, and they have been overwhelmed with work. Our Ventura County Sheriff's Office in the impact report indicated that they anticipate its detectives and other county regulatory offices might see an increase in the number of complaints and investigations. So these are all things to take into consideration. And we'll see what happens. So those are just things that were highlighted in the impact report. Again, email me, venice.terry@ventura.org if you'd like me to email it to you or send you the links. You can.
Thank you, Venice. Thank you.
There are a few questions.
Okay,
Sure.
Go ahead, Gabrielle.
Okay, so one, I'm not sure if it's from Lori McDonald. I'm assuming that she still wants to ask this question. Her hand is up.
My hand was up from before.
Okay, from before. So the other question, thank you, sorry, Lori. So the other question is, how is Ventura EOC Emergency Office coordinating with the Glen and Cal State Channel Island?
How is the EOC? That's a good question. I would actually have to ask that because something like that is not necessarily, so with the general plan, that's land use, but I imagine we would go through the site authority. I'll make sure that they have the proper contacts through the site authority at the university. But I'll look into that and I can get back to either Chris and kind of let you know what that protocol is.
And one other thing is you mentioned that you had enough signatures and it could go one of three ways: on the ballot with a study, or just to a vote with the supervisors, correct? Mm-hmm. So how would Supervisor?
Oh, so it's on the ballot.
It's already on the ballot.
Yeah, that vote already happened. They didn't have an option to not, they had an option to, yeah, it's on the ballot.
Now what I'm asking, Chris, I'm asking if it hadn't been put on the ballot, how does Supervisor Park feel about Measure Up?
Well, because it's going to be on the ballot, you're basically asking me how she's going to vote on this, and I'm not going to speak for her. So.
Okay, fair enough.
There's concern. There's concern. Okay. As a government agency, we do not, we cannot spend tax dollars on promoting or not. But I'll just say there's concern.
Okay, thank you.
That I think it's easy in our, state, it's legal. Yeah, sure. Yeah, make it legal. No problem. I think when you live near it and you are subject to the odors, that's a different concern. And so that's a different, that's, not everybody lives near one of, these crops. So, one of the, she said, Howlings, which is about Howlings Nursery, which is about 3.5 miles from the university, is likely to, could convert. So that's about 3.5 miles away. But, as we all know, odors travel. So it is indoor. It is all indoor. But there is no requirement to eliminate odors. What they're saying is they have to have the best technologies to reduce odors, but they're not required to eliminate odors.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions?
Denise, thank you very much. And you're always welcome to come back or just let us know if there's some issue that you want to communicate with us. We appreciate it.
Will do.
Just to note, I shared with the advisory committee Wednesday that we live in a little canyon that's basically downwind of all these fields around us. And when we get the afternoon marine breeze coming in, which is nice, it all pushes into our little valley and can't go anywhere. So we get an extra duty smell sometimes of various agricultural things. Lemons aren't bad, but the hemp was pretty strong. Well, we'll move on to item 5.
Thank you. I'm going to get going, but thank you so much. And I'm happy to come back and give updates as
so. Thank you so much for coming. We appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Moving on to Brightview and whatever Jake and whoever's presenting that.
Jake, is Malia on?
Jake, you're muted.
Good evening.
I'm on.
Hi, Lazaro. How are
Lazaro.
you?
Thank you for inviting me over again. Always good to see you guys. Just wanted to share, I think the biggest things that happened since the last time that we spoke. I mean, we continue to work on the irrigation. I mean, as you all know, the repairs have all been completed. We are still in the process of verifying all those repairs. Unfortunately, this week we had to postpone a little bit. I ran into some issues. I was troubleshooting some clocks, and they were still under the university jurisdiction. So I had to work with Jason Hughes to pretty much transfer those clocks over to me. I was under the impression that was already done, and then when I started troubleshooting some clocks, I ran into some technical issues.
Lazaro, could you speak up a little bit, please?
Can you hear me or no?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's better.
Can you hear me better
Thank you.
or no?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, so I was working with Jason Hughes last week and early Monday, Tuesday to continue to troubleshoot some of these irrigation controller issues so that we can really use the application to its full capacity or ability. So I'm pretty close to get there. It's just being very time consuming, and but I think we're getting there slowly but surely. So that's one thing. The other biggest thing, we started working on the seating top dressing project that we discussed with the landscape committee. I think a couple weeks ago. And so I believe that we are on task to complete the project when as we committed to Jake. And so I will have another team this coming Saturday to finish the rest of the areas that we need to seat and top dress. And so you guys know what we are doing for those areas. We are installing the caution tape with some stakes to hopefully keep people from walking over the areas, and also at the same time keep the mowers and my guys from stepping on the newly seeded areas. And so that's kind of what we have going on right now. Please know that, I mean, I already expressed this to Jake, but we had to program a special program for the seeded areas so that we can irrigate these areas more often, so that we can give the seed a better chance to germinate. Still respecting the water restrictions that we have, but we are watering 3 days a week, two cycle start times. So you will definitely see an increase in the water. And we are also obviously using more water for some of the grass that was a little stressed out. So once we get this grass looking better, my hope is to cut back on the water. I'm hoping early October. So, but just wanted to let you know what's coming.
And we did notice that where you reseeded across the street on Landing Cove, there was certainly extra irrigation. It's quite fierce, I believe was the word. It's there's a lot of pressure on that water. So I don't know if that's intentional. I don't know if you topsoiled the seed, or I'm just afraid some of the seed will wash away. Didn't seem to be, but there was quite a bit of water coming out. But we did notice the extra irrigation, so that's great.
Okay, I will be on site tomorrow, so I'll take a look at it, make sure that we're not losing anything.
And one of the homeowners is asking if there's a schedule published for each zone within Glen community between Twin Harbor and all the way to Glen community by zone. Homeowner, would you like to ask that question in person? Okay. So I guess they're asking if there's some kind of published schedule for each zone?
Let me speak to that a little bit.
Thank you.
The days that we were given to do the sod were on Tuesdays and Saturdays. And then we were also given the option, if we needed to increase any water, we could do it on Wednesdays. All the other, and then that's for the sod. And then for the planters, it is on Thursday evening. And that's scheduled for once a week at the present time on Thursday evening. And so that is kind of where we are. In discussions with the university and the water allotments. At the present time, regarding the irrigation water, there are no restrictions outside in the quantity, particularly at this time. The days are kind of what Lazaro was speaking about. And so what we've been doing is that to address the concern with some of the browning and various things, we've increased. We've been doing 15 minutes an evening, and now we're going 20 minutes. We added 5 minutes on Tuesday and on Saturday, and then we added another evening on Wednesday. And so that's kind of how we've done the water for now, and hopefully that will do it. You know, we are cognizant that as of July 1st, there was an 8% increase in landscape water. And so, you know, the bill is going to show up. So, but wanted all the owners to know that, yes, we're aware of the variables and we're trying to address those and be expeditious. The other thing that's also true is some of you earlier in the spring, that as part of the maintenance contract for 2019-2020, that included fertilizing the sod, and we went ahead and did that, and that had an herbicide that helped control a lot of the broadleaf. And so some of the brownness that people have seen is based on the fact that some of the broadleaf plants have died, and so now we're backfilling with fescue, which is the preferred grass. And so we're getting, in that sense, getting caught up on both fertilizing and the seeding.
Yeah. And
Go ahead, Lazaro, sorry.
I also wanted to mention that I'm always looking to partner with the community, and we're like doing all this reseeding and protecting these areas as part of the regular maintenance. So I just wanted to mention that also.
So Sandy Boyd is asking how to report areas that are not being adequately watered. And I do know, I'm going to let you speak to that, but Malia is also keeping a spreadsheet of all landscape, community landscape problems that people report, so we can kind of track them as they get fixed along the way. But Sandy wants to know, how should we report areas that are not getting enough water?
I think the best way is to go through Jake and create if you see my guys and you can talk to one of my guys, I'm sure they'll be able to help. If it's a broken sprinkler, since we own the irrigation now, but I think so that there's no breaking the communication, I would say that the best way is to just go through Jake, and Jake will let me know we have an issue at this address, please address, and we'll go and take care of it. That would be the best. That way we can, it's like a 360-degree communication. Jake lets me know, we let Jake know when it's completed, and then we move forward.
There's a question about software. Has all the software update completed from each zone, which was budgeted? 29 software licenses. Which zones are being updated with new software licenses?
So, yes, so 29 clocks, I'm like probably 89% completed, but the licenses don't have anything to do with watering. I still have the ability to manipulate the clocks manually. So the licenses are not really impacting our ability to irrigate something. So I can still manipulate. I can go physically to the clock, and I can manipulate so that if something needs more water, then I can do it with the clock. The licenses are like to really be able to program and just to have more better visibility, and it's a great thing once we have it up. But it's kind of a separate thing.
Once the software is updated, once the software update is completed, will the watering be automated?
Yes, I mean, it's already automated, but yes, it will be 100% automated. I can go online and I can make whatever changes. If I need to go from 3 days to 2 days, I can do that from my computer. When we have been doing verification of the completed repairs, Jake is a witness that we go around with the app, and then that's how we turn on and off the clocks. And so that's one of the features of the licenses. And so being able to use our phones as a remote control as we go from clock to clock, and so yeah, so you can do, once we have everything up and running, then you have visibility for each of those clocks. And I will be providing Jake a very specific spreadsheet showing the clock and the error card that is associated with each controller, because right now we didn't really have any of that. And some error cards were in the wrong clocks, and it's taking me a little bit to clean it up, but we should have everything cleaned up. And once I have everything, I'll provide that to Jake so that he can provide it to you guys.
And will the usage be monitored? Will you monitor the usage to the gallon, by the gallon?
That's a very good question. I'm pretty sure I have that ability, because I think that was part of that. I'm pretty sure we can check the consumption.
Let's let that be the last question, I hope. We can move on.
Anybody else? Any hands up? Anybody?
Anyone with questions can always send them to Jake, and he'll forward them on to Lazaro or later questions. We do have a long agenda. Thank you, Lazaro, very much again. And keep safe with your guys' crew. Moving on to item 6, committee reports. 4 things we haven't already talked about. We'll start with landscape, Malaya and Gabrielle.
Malaya's going to get this one. Is Malaya on? Jake, did you add her?
Say again? No, it's
Did you add Malaya?
I'm on.
Hi, Malaya.
Okay.
Hey, Malaya.
So we did meet with, hold on, let me bring up my notes. Hold on. I did speak with Jake earlier today, and everybody who, apparently there's about 27 trees that have been marked for removal. You can actually see them in the community. They have been marked with a big red spot of paint on them, so it's easy to indicate which ones are being taken out. There's 27 of them. Each of the homeowners have been with and understand what's happening, so we're good with that. And we did also have a meeting a couple of weeks ago. Hold on, let me move my notes to my other monitor, because I've got like 3 monitors up here right now, so hold on just a second. So we are looking for a way to streamline the ticketing process. And I did talk to Jake about the possibility of expanding the existing Rent Cafe platform to include a work order request system for landscaping issues, which will feed into the existing ticketing system, Yardi. And so he is looking into finding out if the system, what the system fees are to reprogram the setup that we presently have. So we're working on that. As I mentioned, we've already gone through the list of trees to be removed, and he has contacted them. Also, at our last meeting, Darcy offered to walk the property and indicate which rosemary bushes are overly mature and need to be removed. So she will be working on that in the near future. In addition to that, also I've received a lot of landscaping issues via email. So Jake and I are coordinating efforts to figure out which ones are already in his system and which ones are additional on my end. I haven't had a chance to get a final report over to him yet because I've been busy with my secular duties. But that's pretty much it for us right now. So we are making progress, and that's about it. Do you have anything to add, Gabrielle?
I do not. Other than when we met, we discussed the mowing and the burning of the grass, and I do believe that, you know, they took our concerns seriously. They've adjusted some of the mowing. It's not perfect. And they've started the reseeding process and the staking of the grass. So things are moving along. So we're happy.
Good news. We'll move on to finance and budget, which is myself and Kevin, if you have, and Tom Emeritus. So I have to admit, I haven't done a lot. I've been focused on the county issues and now can switch to finance. I have a lot of emails to catch up on with Tom, turning over many of his projects. We do have some monthly finance. Jake will cover that, you know, we just started a new fiscal year in July, and so we only have 1 or 2 months of a track record of our operating budget. We're waiting for the annual audit of last year in its entirety. That's in the works, I'm told. And when that comes out, that'll be shared with the entire community. And what else? Rosa and I, where's Rosa? I know you're there. We have a date, a meeting next week to continue to work on this kind of a master list of what we share with the campus, what we share with the site authority in terms of equipment, infrastructure, water, buying recycled water, and how the expenses or costs are appropriated or divided between the homeowning community, the renters, and so forth, just to understand what is shared and how we're splitting the costs, and then deal with issues. So that's kind of in the works also. And I think I'll stop there. Kevin, did you want to add anything? If
Not this month,
yeah,
it was a quiet month.
And Tom's been busy. Let me share his continuing the legacy of Tom's work, and we really appreciate that. But we did also recover, I think, through one of your public records requests, you know, statements on it's Wells Fargo, our reserve account for several months, you know, like the statement that the money's really there. It's not earning interest, not that it would earn much anyway. That's still in the works. But Tom, we appreciate your, can't begin to keep up with the things you've been working on. Do you want to add anything? Okay. Then moving on with no questions, Gabrielle?
The rules, I'm actually going to let Tom take this. Tom has
Okay.
we've been in communication a lot with Lieutenant Massey regarding rules, and I'm going to let Tom take it. Tom, are you there?
You're
Oh, we
muted,
can't hear
Tom.
Tom. He's not muted.
Oh.
Maybe he needs to turn his mic on.
Can you hear me now?
There we
Yeah.
go.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, well, Gabrielle and I have shared some emails. There's a draft of community or rules and regulations that would be part of the addendum to the ground sublease that's being thrown around. It includes a lot of the work that's been done by many others. But that covers only rules and regulation changes that can be enforced by Jake. We have another set of issues that we would like to have enforceable by campus police, which now involve state laws and regulations, and we think a different process for getting those put on the books. So everything is still in draft form, and I think we're still trying to understand the process, as well as Officer Massey, in terms of how this all works, and Chris is going to speak to some of this as well. So I don't know, Gabrielle, any other thoughts?
No, it's an ongoing, it's going to be a long process as far as the using the same path that Officer Massey is using for the horses. And we have to think we have to be very focused on what our ask is going to be. So, but no, other than that, it's just going to be a long process.
So let me chime in here. I'd like to, this first part here about jurisdiction questions, obviously that's kind of me or all of us, but I wrote that. And what I would like to suggest formally with a motion is that the HAC move forward to the CAG meeting, which is upcoming next week, and ask the CAG as a whole to forward or request from the site authority response to a letter that I will draft, short letter of about 1 page, that basically cites the somewhat contradictory language that the site authority is a state agency. So what does agency mean? That it has in one sentence in there, it's about local government, which implies it can do lots of things, but then it says its sole authority is just development of the campus. So that contradicts a general meaning of what is a local government. And that's basically how we end up with no ability to essentially adopt a enforceable law or ordinance like a city or a county on our little property here that we know of. And I think even the police are interested in, what does the law say, or how would it be interpreted? And so my letter will say, long motion, asking the site authority to retain or use an attorney to develop a thorough opinion as to the status of our area with regard to state law, site authority, and the California Constitution, and what options there are to the site authority that are beyond just lease. So that lengthy motion, which will be the formal, I put that forward to the HAC to take it to the CAG and ask the CAG to take it to the site authority.
Chris?
Yes.
So at the last CAG meeting, there was a long discussion about process within a CAG, and Bill Rope had asked that the process regarding the HAC, Kennedy Wilson, and the CAG be rethought, and he suggested that we try to deal with many issues in working groups outside the CAG before they go.
Almost 3 times now. And I was kind of waiting for you to discuss in your report. Is part of my problem with that is Bill's attitude of, we want you all to handle it and then tell us, here was the problem and here is our solution. And the problem with that is that we don't have any authority. We have the Kennedy Wilson multifamily has authority. Kennedy Wilson working for the site authority has authority, but the homeowners have no vote at the table. So I don't understand how we can really work things out or come up with solutions unless they're completely amenable to the site authority and multifamily. We don't have any vote here. So this doesn't make sense to me.
Well, yeah, so this may be a little bit longer discussion, but the thought is that when we take things to the CAG, we're not resolving anything in those CAG meetings. There's not enough time to dive into any issues. It just takes too long. So the thought that Bill had was take issues directly through Jake to the site authority, to Lori and Rosa, because they're the ones that deal with most of this anyway. Because Bill Robe does very little. He
just report.
What's that?
He just kind of reports.
Yeah, and he does it quarterly, and he just sends things to the site authority board, and rarely deal with our issues at that level anyway. So his point was to try to, and this, we'll see if this, how well this works. And I appreciate, Gabrielle, your concerns, but to take issues directly to the site authority, to Jake and Rosa and Lori, and involve Kennedy Wilson when that's appropriate, try and work through issues, and then take things to the CAG either once they've been resolved, just to confirm with all the parties that this has been resolved and get everyone to nod their head, or to take to them issues that are intractable or just can't be dealt with, where there's just disagreement and we're at a stalemate.
So
Because here's the point. If we go into the CAG, and I kind of understand this, and tell Lori and Rosa what we're going to do, we don't need to do that in the CAG. We can send them an email right now and not wait for that meeting and be done with it and start working, because nothing really happens in the CAG other than
that would be great if I could get a response to some of the emails.
I agree, but the thing is, taking things through the CAG doesn't speed things up anyway. That you
So
still have the same parties.
Peak Marketing wants to know, they agree with me, they have the same takeaway from the CAG meeting. They want to know what the exact purpose of the CAG is at this point.
Yeah, so great question. I'm not totally certain that the CAG, well, the charter is being redrawn, so I don't know exactly what they want to do. But again, it's a venue for taking issues that have reached a stalemate and trying to hash it out with the site authority and with Kennedy Wilson, or it's a venue also to confirm issues that have been resolved and kind of memorialize them. But otherwise, the CAG, as Bill's indicating, just isn't a forum for resolving issues. There's just, you just can't resolve these issues in a meeting. So, so that's his perspective. So we can vote on this. I can take it to the CAG, but quite honestly, you can do the same thing just by sending an email to Lori and Rosa and Jake and to Ben Gordon right now and be done with it. And it will accomplish the same thing.
Okay, so this is Chris.
But I'll take it to the CAG.
Amend the motion that, well, for discussion, that really the motion is to send the letter to the site authority, and we'll just more or less copy the CAG because it happens to be meeting next week as a courtesy.
Okay.
But they're not really asking them to solve this. This is something that somebody's got to hire an attorney, and nobody has that resource except the site authority. And that's the intent here, is to get a real legal opinion, and it may cost, you know, thousands of dollars, but that's too bad if we can get them to do that. So that's my motion amended. The letter would be directed to the site authority. Well, I won't even get it drafted till next week, and you know, we want to share it as a courtesy with the CAG on the way to the site authority, if that's acceptable to the board.
Yeah, you should include Kennedy Wilson in that because they're a party. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, well, that's the discussion we had at the CAG. So it's trying to resolve things more quickly, more directly outside the CAG, take it to the CAG when things are intractable or when something's been resolved.
Okay.
But again, I will take this to the CAG and
well,
confirm how we're supposed to approach things. It's a little unclear.
So the motion's on the idea of this request letter. I mean, that's somewhat separate from the role of the CAG. Is there a second or any other?
Yeah, I'll second.
Tom seconds. Okay. Any other discussion? You'll all see the draft first. I mean, it won't go without all of us being able to read it and suggest edits, and it'll take me a week or so to get it together. And no intent here to, you know, fly swat the site authority. This seems just to me like a very basic request for an understanding of our legal status. And maybe they already have something drafted and we just don't know about it. So that would be fine. So hearing no further discussion, can I, all in favor, say aye?
Aye.
Aye, aye. Any dissent? Okay, motion passes. Thank you. Tom, did you want to continue with CAG, site authority, anything else there? Yep.
No, there's not a whole lot more to add. That we just didn't talk about a lot of substantive items. It was more this kind of conceptual process stuff.
Sure.
I don't know if the CAG's charter is indeed being rewritten. That was what was agreed to some time back, but haven't received a confirmation that that's actually happening, and whether or not we will get a chance to take a look at that. So, yeah, Gabrielle.
No, I was going to circle back to landscaping real quick. I forgot to mention something, but when you're done, Tom.
So, and Jake was there as well. Jake, do you have any other comments about the meeting?
No, you're characterizing it pretty well.
So I want to circle back real quick and mention that we did have a meeting about the community garden, and we had it with the ladies who are running the garden now, as well as Kevin was there and I was there, and we talked about the existing setup and system for getting a plot and potentially expanding the garden to twice its size, what that would look like, if it would be more of a co-op, if it would be instead of individual plots, one long plot, and the buildup would come out of the funds, out of the community funds. So we are looking at that. Lori is getting a plot map to us. I did walk the garden and look at the plots. They're putting together their wait list, so we can have that at Jake's office if people want to see it, be on the wait list for the existing garden, while we start the long process of looking at expanding it at this time. I know there's a lot of interest. So, and we have invited ENS Ring and Community Kennedy Wilson Multifamily to the table because they are part of our community and they have access to the garden as well. So we've sort of started that, and if you'd like to join, just email me for the discussion. Thank you.
Gabrielle, is there a waiting list for the garden?
There is. I have not seen it. Lori, I'm not sure if she's still, was going to email that to me. We were both very busy, so I haven't actually checked my emails to see if it's buried in there. So there's a wait list, and then she's putting together a plot map as well of owners, who owns which plot.
Thank you. Thank you. Just want to circle back just to confirm that the next CAG meeting is next Thursday at 4 o'clock, I believe. Is that right, Jake? Yes.
Confirmed. Yes.
Yes. And the site authority does not meet until early November.
Yeah, the day before the election.
Okay. So now we finally come to that part of the agenda. That's the fun part. Maisha and/or Malaya are going to tell us about all kinds of fun things they're planning for our community. Take it away.
Okay, so Jake, I think you have some. I'm not going to even try and take control. If you want to show what we have, Maisha came up with a really fun idea for 13 days of Halloween in the University Glen, which include things such as, hold on, with my multiple. I feel like I'm a hacker over here with all these 3 monitors. A haunted Glen tour. So residents will decorate the exterior of their homes and or their front doors. This would take place for the entire 13 days leading up to the 30th when the voting would happen. Also doing a carved pumpkin scavenger hunt closer to Halloween, obviously, since the pumpkins won't last that long. So we would distribute pumpkins to residents who sign up to carve, display, and compete in a community-wide pumpkin carving contest. Single family and townhome residents would display theirs outside their homes, while apartment dwellers can collectively display their pumpkins at fountains so passersby can enjoy. Excuse me. And this would be contingent on our ability to procure pumpkins on the cheap. Also, trick-or-treating goodie bags. We realize that there has been a lot of up and down, back and forth about whether trick-or-treating is going to be allowed this Halloween. And so what we're planning to do is collect candy and crafts from residents to be assembled into goodie bags and dropped at the doors of residents who sign up to receive said goodie bags. Art coloring contest. We're also talking about doing a coloring contest of Halloween themed pictures based on age groups that we would display in the doors of the clubhouse so that people could vote on them. Also talking to people about setting up photo booths or backdrops around the neighborhood if they wanted to do that as part of their decorations, or also the social committee could be responsible for setting those up throughout the neighborhood. And then doing a people or pet costume contest, people posting pictures to Facebook and figuring out a way to judge and award prizes on those. We're thinking things like Mr. Softy gift certificates. And then horror nights, talking about just, we're looking at doing a horror movie drive-in on campus, not an actual horror movie, something that's age appropriate for all of our residents. So if you go to the next, there's another one, Jake, that shows the quote. So I can go through this really briefly. The quote that we received to do a drive-in, we would either do it as a drive.
Malia, which one, number 13 or number 14?
Let's go with number 14. So hold on just a second. Give me just a second. 1 second.
I wonder, given what the police said earlier, whether that's even feasible, given we're not supposed to be on campus.
So I'm sorry about that. I was dealing with an issue here. What was the question?
Well, because of what the police said earlier, whether we'd even be allowed to use the campus for anything.
Yeah, so I don't know that we're talking about doing it on campus. I need to touch base with Maisha because it's all happened hot and fast today. But I know that we were originally talking about doing it down at the sports field, down near the dog park. I think that's the quote that we have on deck here that Jake is showing to you. And as you can see, the price for a one-time event is pretty pricey. So my ask to the HAC would be, you know, let's think about pricing out what it would cost to actually purchase these items and have them available to us for, you know, years to come. Obviously, we wouldn't be using these items very frequently, so they should last for a good amount of time. And I think it would be a fun way, not just for Halloween, obviously, but we could do Halloween movies, Christmas movies, summertime movies. There's a lot of different implications here that we could, where our dollars would be well spent and would last for a really long time. So that is just something for, I'm not asking for a decision today, but it's definitely something that I would like the HAC to consider. And then hopefully we can come up with an approval. I know this is the first time you're seeing the PDF on the 13 days of Halloween. So I'd like for you to review it in the next couple days. Let me know if you have any questions or concerns and give us the green light to go ahead if you're okay with that, to proceed with our plans for Halloween. Lastly, I have a newsletter that I drafted for this month. Obviously, I know that we're already halfway through the month here, but Jake, if you could present that, that's the third one, I think. There's Chris. Okay, so it's the UG newsletter. Okay. So this is another way that we're looking to bring the community together. It allows them the opportunity to, that's okay, Jake, take your time. You can bring it up when you can. It allows them the opportunity to share things that are going on in their lives, pictures that they want to share, what's going on in the community garden, exciting events, especially in our COVID environment right now. We want to provide families an opportunity to celebrate with their neighbors. And we can do that by announcing drive-by birthday parties or birth announcements, things like that. So it's very, very basic. This first one is very basic. And this information is still relevant as of now. But basically, and this can also be circulated to the HAC, Jake, after the meeting. just providing people, again, a chance to share what's going on in their lives and a chance to welcome new people into the neighborhood, including new babies, and celebrate with each other. So look this over. If you guys are all in approval, I mean, I know we're halfway through the week, through the month, I'm sorry, but I think that it's still relevant, and I think we could still send this out. And you know, this one's pretty light. When I was writing a newsletter in the past, I did it for about 10 years for a previous employer. And the first one is always light, right? Because we're just kind of putting it out there to, this is what we can take, send your information to us. But really what's nice about a community, what's really nice about a community newsletter is that it's kind of audience driven, and it gives us, it's very easy to put together. So basically you collect the information throughout the month, and it would take me about an hour or two to kind of format and put together. And then we could also distribute this as part of an e-blast at the beginning of each month. So when Jake sends out one of his first e-blasts, this would just basically be an additional attachment to that email that goes out.
Nice.
So that's pretty much all I have. Does anybody have any questions about any of those items?
Sandy Boyd is asking, is stating purchasing equipment is a budget request for 21-22, for the years 21-22, or the existing budget line would need to be used?
I would like to keep the, so if you're, now, you know, I do chair the social committee, but I'm obviously not the only opinion on that. I think we should purchase it. I think that whatever purchases we make should stay in the same fiscal year. And basically, you know, when we make big purchases, obviously we're not going to be able to, we're going to have to kind of scale back on other things that we're trying to do during the year, right? I don't think that we should go beyond our $3,000 budget in any fiscal year. That's my opinion. It's definitely something that I can take back to the team, and it's a good ask. But so my answer would be, this would be part of our existing budget for 2020. We're already in almost to the end of the year, and we haven't spent any of our $3,000. So technically we have a nice little chunk of change. And because of the whole COVID situation, and we haven't had the ability to do more socially, we're kind of in a good position to make a big purchase like this. Now, I could be totally out of line here because I don't know if we're already into the 21-22 budget, because I'm not really sure about how the whole fiscal year thing works for the social committee, if it's a calendar year or if it's part of the year that started in July or whatever. Either way, I think that the purchase should stay with the current year, and that we should always keep all of our purchases to, it shouldn't be like a rollover thing, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah. We definitely have to book it in the period that we buy it. But Malia, has the social committee thought about the number of events that might be held for the remainder of this fiscal year, which is through next June 30th? I know with COVID, it's really hard to sort this out, but.
Yeah, you know, it's a good question. But again, like you just said, with COVID, it's really hard for us to determine what we'll even be able to do. You know, putting our money into a situation like this where we can socially distance but still all be together is, we kind of felt like it was a good use of our funds. So, I mean, we're open to recommendations for other socially distant but together events that will keep us all safe, but allow us to enjoy our community and enjoy our neighbors. But for us, this is what we came up with, and kind of felt like this would be not only a good use of our funds, but also, you know, would be something that we could do safely in our current environment. And for those that may be wondering if, you know, if these sort of movies are okay right now, I know that but they're doing drive-in movies and things like that at the Ventura County Fairgrounds. So I think that we're pretty safe with our proposal. Any other questions?
So are you looking for approval right here and now, Malia?
Nope.
Okay.
No, I mean, I would like, obviously we need approval. If we're going to do this, then we need approval before the next HAC. But that said, I have just today asked Maisha to look into the cost associated with purchasing these items as opposed to renting them. So I think she's working on that. And as soon as I have those numbers, I can circulate those to you. Obviously, if the variable is nominal, then it makes more sense for us to purchase the equipment than to rent it for a one-time deal.
Jake, if this purchase was made, let's say it's $2,000 for, in this case, a projector, maybe in a screen. How would you book that? Would you take that out of operating expenses, or is there any way this would be a reserve item?
No. I mean, I answered your email earlier today, Tom. The line item is R&M HOA contingency. That's the $3,000 line item.
So for capital, I don't know if a $2,000.
It's under operations. It's under operations.
So a $2,000 capital or expenditure would not be a capital expenditure. It would be an operating expense.
Correct. I mean, I would see it that it would be under the line item, the R&M HOA contingency.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't think either of those items would technically be capital, even though we'd hopefully keep them for many years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what the thresholds are. So okay.
Malaya, I'll talk to you. There's my understanding is there's someone in the community that has a screen and projector.
Awesome.
Oh, very good.
Yeah. So we can talk tomorrow on that.
That'd be great.
Okay.
Sandy Boyd says 2,000 is always an operating item. There you go.
All right. Well, Chris, I think we.
You saw me take the dog downstairs. She's limping on her left leg, so I have to carry her up and down the stairs.
Oh.
God. All right. Are we? So whatever I missed, I'm sure is good news. And thank you, Malaya, and everybody for trying to jumpstart something other than walking around with dogs. I just had one thought, whether or not, maybe you thought of this, whether the campus has any of this equipment, in which they may charge us for, but they may have screens, or maybe they outsource it and they have vendors who might have better prices. So that's just a thought.
That's actually a really good call out, Chris, and I'll talk to Maisha about that. And there's my dog, sorry.
All right. So let's move on. Finally, Jake, you're on, and then we'll open up for public comments and one property improvement after that. We need you off. You're muted. There
Yeah, I got it. Thank you.
Okay.
Kind of run through these items. Yes, we did talk about the tree removals. Tomorrow we'll be sending out a e-blast talking about the schedule for that. The ones that Malaya had mentioned had been marked. Those are going to happen on Monday and Wednesday next week, and both on Landing Cove and over into the other side in the alley between Kyler Harbor and Fries Harbor. And then the black sumac are going to be trimmed, that need to be trimmed every year, the ones along Elephant Seal and in the alleys of between Kyler Harbor and Santa Cruz Island Drive and Kyler Harbor and Fries Harbor. Those will be done on Thursday and Friday. So we'll send out an e-blast and bring that to your attention. There are, Brightview is going out and putting signs, particularly on those streets with really the streets with Elephant Seal, so that people aren't parking there on Thursday and Friday when the trimming needs to be done. Okay. Next item, as a follow-up to last month's discussion about the DG path along Camarillo on the north side of the property, I did have Brightview give me a price. I gave that price to Lori Nichols. She went to the site authority and facility services, and you may have noticed that much of the DG path has been filled in. The only part that has not been filled in is at the end, at the place where there was the ditch part of it. And you can see the irrigation pipes, the purple pipes are still visible. And Rosa and Lori and I are still working with the facility services as far as what their plan for that is and at what time they're going to take the barricades down. And so that's, we're moving forward with that. So getting the price got facility services to get going on it. I'll give you, hopefully next month I can report that the whole thing is done, but I'm pleased that we got at least this much of it done.
Good job, Jake.
The next,
I'm happy to see it too.
the next item was, we've been talking about having an insurance presentation. It's come to my attention from Rosa that the earthquake declaration is supposed to be presented. We don't have it in hand at the present time. So that is supposed to be done between 30 to 90 days from when that policy starts. So we're anticipating getting that by October 1st. And my impression is that Rose is in contact with the insurance people and that's imminent. And all the other declarations as far as common area liability and townhouse liability, those kind of things we have in hand. So we're shooting for having the insurance conversation. Our Zoom meeting on insurance, hopefully on Thursday, October 8th. So that will be into the first week of October, and we'll be giving you more information with the e-blast, and we'll be keeping everybody appraised of that information. And we're working towards all of these declarations to be put on the website so that people, when they're doing refis and all this kind of business and wanting to talk to their insurance agent, that it's easily available and everybody has access to them because there's nothing to hide there. So we'll keep you posted on that one. That's October 8th. Just as an update, we are continuing to work with Quality Windows to address screen, balancer, window replacement, door replacement issues in the townhomes. And so we're moving ahead on that slowly but surely. So I appreciate your patience on that. Lazaro mentioned about the seating schedule, hopefully by the landscape, the turf area, that hopefully they will have all the seating done by the end of the day, Saturday, the 19th. That's the day after tomorrow. Just a heads up, I had in conversation with Mission Hills, they have had several residents mention that the pools are during the week are not open for people who work until 5 o'clock. And so we're looking at a way to have some of the maintenance people open the first two sessions at the 9 and 9:30 session at the pool. And then Sylvia, our pool monitor, come a little later and stay until 6:30, 7 o'clock so that people can swim if they're gonna get home at 5. So we're looking at that. We'll send out an e-blast and let everybody know when that's, if that's gonna happen. I think it's a good option because people, that will give more people an option to use the pools. And we're continuing the conversation, and I think everybody in the HAC knows I've asked them when I've seen them personally, for a take on how to move forward as in the, say after October when the weather gets less swimming friendly, and how we want to do that in balance, pulling back maybe on one of the pools, dealing with the heaters, but at the same time realizing we have to have a monitor in place. And it would seem for the foreseeable future, we're going to have a monitor in place to have the pool, whichever pool, open. And so that's for further discussion and insight from HAC members and community members too is appreciated. At the present time, we really do not have an anticipated time, or even to date, we haven't had what I would say is optimistic conversations about opening the gyms, the enclosed gyms. Right now, it isn't on the horizon, on the near horizon. So that's why we would like to make sure that the amenity of the pools is utilized as much as possible. Just as an update, I have gotten with Precision Concrete Cutting regarding the trip hazards. I got their first pass through it, and I am working with them to adjust the kind of the phasing of it so that we can match what we have budgeted with what kind of the worst conditions that they're talking about. And so we're,
they marked them, but they did not mark the, I think it's the first roundabout, or maybe it's the second roundabout, the pathway where the brick has submerged into the ground and there's almost a little hole there.
that we may have to do, that may be different because that's masonry, they're concrete cutters.
Okay.
You know, yeah, your point's well taken, Gabrielle. Okay, so that's coming up, and I'll keep everybody apprised of that as well. If somebody wants to see how many they actually came up with, you're welcome to come by the office and I'll show it to you. Next item was regarding the monthly financials. I wanted to say that the amount that we brought in was within dollars of what the budget was that we had budgeted, and everything is on, we're pretty much on budget. There were 2 areas that we had negative variances, and one was under the R&M, the repairs and maintenance, and that revolved mainly around the pools and the monitor, which was not budgeted at all. And right now that R&M is showing up in the pools. It's the R&V cleaning are the ones that we're hiring the monitor through. But right now it is a small variance. It's about a 10% variance for the month. The other one that comes up is the reclaimed water. And that's, again, it's about a 10% variance over what is budgeted for reclaimed water. And, you know, that comes after we realized, after we were informed after July 1st, that there was an 8% increase, you know, so that is not unexpected, but is a negative variance. So those are the 2 that really are the difference, or what is over budget. Okay.
Someone is asking what does the 10% equal in money?
The which, the 10%, what it ends up for the repair and maintenance, it's about $3,000, and so that is very close to what the monitor is per week, or for the month, because it's about $1,200 a week for the monitor, and so, you know, there it comes out, it's about $4,800. So, you know, that difference is $2,800, and then with the water, the reclaimed water, it's about $1,500 difference.
Jake, we had a contingency line item for reclaimed water in the budget. Does that negative variance consider that?
Don't know off at the top of my head. I have to look at the budget, Tom.
Okay.
How that doesn't. I get the point. I just don't have it on the tip of my tongue.
Yeah, I think we anticipated a unknown there. So
right. So okay. So that's pretty much what I've got. So thank you.
Got a question for you, Jake. Going back to the landscaping discussion. So somehow I've missed this. So are we under watering restrictions right now? That's what I thought I heard.
No.
This is not.
No. When I talked to Roxanne at Facility Services, or I used to say Rosa, and I talked to her, that she said at the present time they are not under restrictions.
Okay.
The restriction comes that we are limited to Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday, because Sunday and Monday and Friday we're restricted day-wise. That the other 3, we have 4 days available, and the other 3 days are exclusively for use of the university. That's because we get, I think it's 150,000 gallons or something like that per day from Cam Rosa in reclaimed water. And so that they go to different locations so that we don't run out of water at one time. That's the restriction.
Yeah, I think that actually was an original part of the design many, many years ago, was that we'd have to coordinate draining of the tank on the hill between ourselves and the West Campus. Okay.
Right. So it ends up, it's basically 3 days and 3 days, which with Wednesday being an optional day for us.
Okay.
Okay.
Jake, real quick on budgets. We're on the university's budget cycle, correct?
We're from July to, is that what you mean?
No,
Fiscal year, or what are you asking?
No. Well, normally the budget cycle allows for a couple of opportunities to revise the budget. I'm just wondering if, when we know about, say, the water budget, the water's consistently going over, do we ever take time to go back and revise and reapprove the new budget?
As far as I know, we haven't in the past, because we can talk about that in the BAG meeting. Hopefully we'll have a BAG meeting next week before the CAG meeting. So maybe we can talk about that. Good
Just
question.
Make it Wednesday night.
Huh?
Not on Wednesday.
Okay. I'll be back in contact, Kevin.
Okay.
Any questions for Jake from anybody or the audience?
How did we miss the potential price? Wait, how did we miss the potential of a price increase in the reclaimed water? How did we miss that?
Because facility services didn't let us know it was going to happen.
She's technically, okay, I'm sorry, that's something else. We must have, Sandy says we must have asked that question 200 times. So, and I'm going to go back, there's a lot of chatter about the cost of the monitor. The monitor is in a high-risk job. She makes a portion of that fee. The rest goes to the contract company. That's the way it works. So, but she is an essential at-risk employee. So that is why that is that cost. And Sandy is asking about the missed increase in
The net increase in, you mean what the charge is for that?
Sandy is saying, how did we miss the potential of a price increase in the reclaimed water? We've asked this question 200 times. How did they not notify?
We can ask it. We can ask it. And, Rosa asked too, and they didn't tell us. I mean,
I think everyone has to appreciate the budget's put together in what, March, April, and the increase took effect in
July 1st.
1st of July 1. And Cam Rosa, if they, if they give us a heads up early enough and the site authority, then we can deal with it. So I don't know when they notified us, but.
Well, or we contact Camarosa ourselves. They're just a public agency. They had to think about it in advance. Okay, so I hear any more questions for Jake?
I was going to say, we have the same kind of issue with trash removal as well, right? Okay. Thanks, Chris.
So we are right at 7:31. Congratulations, committee and everyone. And we'll open up to any public comments on topics not already chatted about from our 18 participants, including us. We have none.
Just 1 second. I've lost my.
We thank everybody who's online.
There was.
Chris, didn't we have a PIA that we had to look
Yeah,
at? Oh,
yeah.
that's we're
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll let everybody off, and then we'll look at them.
Trash increases are budgeted, Sandy says.
Okay.
The trash increases, yes, and the trash isn't something that's the variant. We don't have a negative variance on the trash.
So we
variance was on reclaimed water and the COVID pool monitor.
Okay. Anyone else? I want to make sure everyone's heard.
So I'm going to end the meeting with everyone. Thank you very much. This is officially the end here, and we will stay online to look at this one PIA, if you all don't mind.
So we have to wait until everyone falls off.
Before we get to the PIA, can I ask a question that's actually been asked to me several times regarding the poll monitor, but I didn't want to bring it up in the.
But the meeting is still going. There are still people on.
Okay, I'll wait.
13.
Hey, Malia, I just realized I owe you an answer to a question. The GPS tree management system that I'm familiar with is called Arbor Pro.
Yeah. No, you don't owe me that. You sent it. You emailed it to me.
Oh, did I?
You emailed me
Okay.
that already. Yep.
Oh my God.
You're way ahead of yourself, Tom.
I'm losing my mind. Okay.
Tom needs some more
We
work.
got 2 more.
I need to,
I think we should make Tom the chair of all the committees.
What's
Yeah.
that?
Let's make Tom the chair of all the committees.
No. Tom doesn't
He's the
want to.
king of the
I
world.
want responsibility for nothing.
one
Let's
attendee.
make Tom chair, that's fine too.
No.
Now we
It's
have
much
this.
more fun to sit in the background and lob grenades in the room.
It isn't
There you
recorded,
Thank
it's
you,
still
man, who sent
recorded.
me 4,000 emails this week.
And Gabrielle, I need to talk to you about rules and regs and stuff
Yeah,
because
they're all gone.
I'm
Okay.
throwing stuff together and I don't really know if I'm following
So
your
we're
lead.
good.
Okay, we can get together and talk.
No.
Everyone's off? Wait,
Yes, everybody's off. So we can put the PIA up on my screen too.
So the only thing that I was going to throw out there before we get to the PIA, and this has been asked to me several times, which I don't know why, because it's not like I'm the pool monitor,
I
but
sent it to them.
I have been asked several times why the pool monitor job was not offered to the community first.
You know what,
So
I have been asked as well, why we're paying a ginormous fee to the contract company and she's getting $15 an hour instead of paying a community member $20 an hour.
I've got a reaction to that right away is you don't want a community member policing community members.
I agree with that, Tom. I just wanted to, I didn't want to say that in front of the general population audience because I didn't want to kind of feed the fuel, but I just want us to be prepared for that question to come up at a future meeting because
It's come up a lot with me as well.
Okay. Yeah.
I think the other thing to also keep in mind is that we used R&V cleaning partially because they have all the insurance requirements with additional insured and everything in place.
Yeah.
And so that was part of the reason too.
Yeah, it's to get a community member and ask them to get bonded, that's a whole other.
I didn't say it was a reasonable ask. I was more like everybody knows so they're prepared if the question comes up at a
That's my
future
first
meeting.
reaction, like bad idea.
Insurance, training, all sorts of good
Jose,
reasons.
it's 831. What's his CAM number?
I'm printing out.
No, I'm bringing it up. Just hang on.
So is the wrought iron on
CAM
the patio?
185.
There's the
185.
$1 million question.
Do you want me to shoot and show the email that you sent earlier today?
Just Amanda, this is it's 931, 831.
There you go, Chris got it.
I got it.
I
I got it, Jake.
You got it on there? Okay.
So here's
I was
page
asking.
1.
Is the CAM number there?
185.
185. Got it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So the project value 1,200. The contractor is a welding and fence company. Obviously, the address is 751 Channel Islands Drive. That's page 1, page 2, and then here is the location. It appears to be on the front deck, right? And it would be a black iron fence around and a fence. I guess there's a shorter fence in front of the porch with a gate. And contractor would install approximately 40 linear feet of 36-inch high black wrought iron fence with 1.5 by 5 foot high black steel posts. All panels will be welded and primed and painted on the areas that are is going to be
That is joint
to be welded, labor, materials, etc. So it seems like, you know, basically typical of,
Is it on the cement?
well,
That doesn't tell me.
it doesn't, it says deck, which is not really a deck. I would suggest this does say it's on the deck, meaning,
I think you can say it should be on that it should be mounted on the deck.
yeah, we can stipulate that. Am I reading this right, that it's a 36-inch high fence, but it's a
Yeah.
5-foot high post?
No. Yeah, I had the same question. Like, what's that?
Why such a high post? It seems,
That's too high.
oh, well, here we go. So here's somebody else's post or somebody else's
Yeah,
exact thing.
this is 701 Santa Cruz Island Drive.
Okay, that's the picture. Here's some more pictures. That's the gate in front of the door, and that's all there is.
So I'm going to bring up a bad subject here, but this all goes back to the CAG and Bill Robe stating, you know, what one HAC group determines is okay might not be what another determines. And so I'm okay with it being off the cement. I'm okay with somebody taking not taking the land, but landscaping that land a little bit. And we got overruled on the last one. So I'm.
Yeah, you will. You'll be overruled. And
So are they mounting? I mean, they don't have a picture of their patio, right?
Right,
Well,
I think this is the neighbor's patio, isn't
Yeah.
it?
I think you can say that it needs to be mounted on the concrete
Yeah,
slab.
yeah. Okay. So any idea why the post is 5 feet high?
Yeah.
No,
Go back up. Is it saying that? Is it with 4?
1.5 by 5.
The iron
I
fence
don't
is
even know what that means.
black steel post. That's the post that goes before. Can you take back to the picture? Is it this part of it? Please, I'm sorry.
Well, it's
Picture's
yes,
not gonna
post.
show it.
These are your
Is
posts.
it this part right here?
Yeah, right.
So, but still, that's 5 feet. It shouldn't be.
Well,
That's as
but
tall
this
as
is-
I am.
Yeah,
Are
I think we just need to verify that and say that, you know, per the picture, you know,
Same
it'll
thing.
be 36 inches, 42 inches high, whatever we want it,
36.
36.
That's what they ask for. So,
Wow, okay. Is that
So
what
it has to
is?
be on the cement and the measurements need to be right.
Yeah, the post is, it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't.
Okay.
Unless, are they going to put in like a tall black gate? You know, like the
No.
single families home?
no. Black iron fence. I'm just looking again, see if there's anything up here that's different, tells us.
I think there needs to be some clarification.
This is Mia, you know, she knows the rules. She worked there in the office. So I assume that since they gave us a picture of what they want, we would just assume it's going to be the same as this.
But that's a gate cover over their front door. Is that, I'm sorry, I can
This-
pull up the map. I'm still looking at the schematic of this. The
Right.
fence is
Right here.
not in front of their front door. Where are they trying to
No,
do with gates?
That's at the porch. The front door is back by the entry.
Yeah. This is all the covered porch with the 2 columns. So the door is way back here.
Right,
This,
and sorry, go down just a little
They have-
bit.
when,
go
you know,
down.
they have dogs. So
Scroll down just a little bit. Oh, yeah, okay. So are they doing it on the deck to the right, or they're also,
Both.
Oh,
they're doing it both? Okay.
Yeah, look at the picture. You'll see the picture. It's exactly as the picture.
Oh, okay.
other people have it as well.
and they have a
There's
dog.
something that,
So they
on
want
the
to be able
bridge
to
on
keep the
Santa
dog.
Cruz that has this.
I would approve this, and I'll write in the stipulation that it's on the cement and the post should not exceed, let's say, they might want to put little knobs on top or something decorative, you know, but not more than 42 inches, which is the,
Yeah, whatever this is right here.
Whatever this is, I think this is
okay
36.
then. Well, there's little what's that right there? See that little?
Yeah.
Little newels at the corner.
Yeah. I mean, that's minor, right? Do we care?
Right. But 5 feet, it just seems.
No, not
it seems
5
like
feet.
it's an error.
Yeah. So we'll write it in as proposed, 36 inches. And if they have little knobs on there, I don't think we'll.
I mean, because it can't possibly be going into the ground 1.5 feet, can it?
It might be that the total length of the pole is 5 feet and 2 feet is in the ground.
Right. I mean, that's a lot. That's deep.
That's deep, yeah.
But we're saying it needs to be mounted on the concrete.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, there you go. That's
And I
true,
think
too.
you can reference the photo of 701
Okay.
and say.
Yeah, but I can't tell if 701 is mounted on the concrete or in the dirt.
Yeah,
And now
you
I'm
can look.
thinking
You
if
can
it's
look
a
at
5
the.
foot pole, it's in the dirt.
you can look at Google Earth, probably.
Did Malia leave us?
I think she
Probably.
did. So that, I think we need to say that it goes on the concrete, and you know, and if they have a question, you can look at the way it is on this picture, how it is on the concrete.
And as well as the one going around the deck.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Needs to be on the concrete.
yeah.
And I think that it's not. I think that the 5 foot post is going into the ground. So unless it's going into the ground that abuts the deck.
Well,
Yeah.
what if the post is going into the ground right next to the concrete? Because you really don't.
That's fine.
You don't want to break the concrete and do all that kind of stuff.
I mean, I don't have a problem with that, but I just have a problem with refusing one person's request to follow their property line and then give somebody else.
I think you need to tell them to put it on the concrete.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, putting it next to the concrete gives them like 2 inches. And to avoid this being rejected and who knows what, I just don't see they're buying a whole lot by moving it out another 2 inches.
Well, if for some reason putting it on the concrete is infeasible or grossly expensive, they can come back, right?
They can come back if they have issues with it. You know, it comes down to the ground sublease talks about what is their jurisdiction.
Yeah. So let me print this up and I will write.
Well,
Well,
that's
do
a
we have
change up, but I'm not gonna go down that road, Jake. It's, I'm
Otherwise, I go crazy.
Do we have a approval there? I think so.
I vote yes.
You know what? I have too many questions. I'm not gonna approve it.
Okay.
I
that's
approve
fine.
it.
We got.
Gabrielle, would you approve it with conditions?
Yes, I think this is going off the patio and I think it's going, so yes, if you want to say it's going on the cement, on the deck, you know,
Yeah,
that's
the
fine.
idea.
But I don't think that's the case.
It looks like 701, not higher than 36 inches and on the patio, on the concrete.
Okay,
Attached to the concrete slab,
attached to the concrete slab.
which is your jurisdiction.
So I'll write that up and drop it off with.
Unless you're in the old
tomorrow.
section. I'm never gonna let you go down.
Huh.
Go down.
I wouldn't
Okay,
expect
gang,
you
that
to.
was our only PIA.
Great,
And
fantastic.
thanks to everybody. We actually got done well within 2 hours this time.
Good job.
job.
Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you, folks.
We can all go eat dinner.
Jake, real quick, the tree trimming is scheduled to start what time?
9 a.m.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll be the tree trimming on Monday.
I
Yeah,
just want to make sure everyone's prepared for it in our area. I mean, as
Yeah.
far as cars and things.
yeah, and trailers move too.
Hey, Chris?
Yeah.
I've got hopefully a very, very quick question or comment. So early in the meeting when we had Denise on and she said, I'm your liaison.
Yeah.
So like, what does that mean? Does that mean anyone in the community can email her with a complaint or a comment or anything?
Well, you
Is that
got
what
me.
you're
I
asking
was
for?
surprised at that too. The idea behind the policy is that all the county agencies, not necessarily have to go through her. We just begin to hear routinely from county agencies that have any business around us. But her job, being part of the supervisor's staff, apparently she's taking it on herself.
Okay.
That is part of her job, is to liaison with the
Okay.
unincorporated communities.
So,
Like,
yeah,
Data
let me be real direct. So if I had an issue, normally I'd take it to Linda Parks. But in this case, I should just start taking it to Venice and do it outside the HAC and
He's gonna love you, Tom.
yeah, I think that's what they're offering to do. Send it to her first.
okay, she's asking for,
Are you going to work on some property tax issues, or what are you thinking, Tom?
Question.
yeah, maybe, yeah. I mean, Kevin, we've been trying to figure out where our property tax money is going. I'm gonna throw that at her. It's like, okay.
The more I think about, hey, did those signs on the way into the community about how the COVID-19 enforcement, yeah, those are rentals. Who's
The
paying for those?
university is paying for them, but I might be wrong.
Our police department's probably renting those.
I don't know,
Maybe
but
that's why we give them an extra 100,000.
I don't really. That did not seem like an amazing.
all right, well, I may throw a little crap her way, and I'll try and copy everybody that cares about whatever I'm throwing her way, and we'll see what she does.
Okay.
You guys got my new email?
What's that?
Yes, thank
Yeah.
You guys
you.
have my new email?
Thank you, and congratulations.
Thank
Or
you.
something.
Good deal. Yes, we've got it. ORG.
Oh, did I put calm on the first one? I think I only have my old one on. I only have the Rio on my cell phone. So
I've got your new email, if that's what you're asking.
yeah,
Okay.
the Santa Paula Unified now.
We're good.
Good deal.
Tom, I'll send you an email and we'll arrange something.
Okay, so
Yeah, we need to kind of, I'm running off the reservation here. You need